The governor of North Dakota, Doug Burgum, appeared on Fox News where he was challenged by Martha MacCallum over his flip-flop on Donald Trump, his just 180 turn. So Doug Burgum, I'll remind you, ran for president in the GOP primary this time around, barely got any attention on his campaign recently, dropped out and endorsed Trump. Now, this is interesting given in a past interview, he said he wouldn't even do business with Trump because he cares about the company that he keeps. Presumably Trump, to Doug Burgum, is so low character that one shouldn't even do business with him, which I agree, but now Burgum is enthusiastically supporting Donald Trump. And as we've come to learn, unfortunately, these sorts of hypocritical flip-flops in politics are so normal that calling them out doesn't seem to do a dang thing. But let's do it anyways. Here's Burgum on Fox News being confronted by Martha MacCallum about this moment, and she plays the one I'm referring to.
So, obviously on the campaign trail, it's all about drawing contrast. But here you are on Meet the Press talking to Chuck Todd back on July the 9th. Watch this.
Would you ever do business with Donald Trump?
I don't think so.
Why?
I just think that it's important that you're judged by the company you keep, and
You just wouldn't do business with him?
No, I wouldn't.
What do you say about that now, Governor?
Well, I was just saying I endorsed President Trump in 2016. I endorsed him in 2020. I'm endorsing him now because it's the right decision for our country. And again, on the topics that are important to every American, whether it's energy, economy, national security, these are the things that matter. He gets it right. This is a guy who's tireless in his work ethic. I had a chance to be with him earlier this week. Guy works 20 hours a day, and he's doing it. He wouldn't have to be doing this. He's doing it because he cares deeply about America and the direction of where America's going. And the people that we met when campaigning in Iowa and New Hampshire understand that. They've got a deep love for the president. They understand that he's out there fighting for him. And again, this makes is the right sense. We're going to see all kinds of folks endorsing the president in the next few months because he's going to win this nomination. This race may be over as soon as next Tuesday. When he's the nominee, you're going to see a lot of folks that are nominating him. But again, I've been in his court since 2016, and I'm still there.
So but you said you wouldn't want to. You're known by the company you keep, and you wouldn't want to do business with him. I'm just giving you a chance to comment on that. Do you not feel that way now, or was that campaign talk, or how would you characterize it?
Well, in 6 months, it's interesting. I've seen this clip multiple times this week. In 6 months, I said only positive things about President Trump, and this one clip comes up. And it's funny, nobody in the national media has asked me about would I do business with Joe Biden. No one's asked me about anybody else.
All right.
So this is.
Let me ask you this. I understood.
So before we get into the substance of what was said there, I need to address this. Okay, for my podcast listeners, I'm putting up a zoom in of Burgum's grin while the Fox host was talking. Why do so many politicians struggle so much with a normal smile? Just look in the mirror, practice it, nail it, go out there on Fox News. And I'll remind you on that note of another person who struggles, we'll say, to give normal human energy with his smile, Ron DeSantis. Yikes. But back to Burgum. I don't want to spend barely any more time on this. I know it's petty, sort of, or unimportant, but really? I don't get it. Just smile or have a straight face. Either one. Moving on. First time he is asked the question, as you saw there, he just ignores it altogether. Second time, he gets to saying that the media plays that clip a lot, and why don't they ask him if he'd go into business with Biden? Well, because Biden is not the presumptive nominee of the Republican Party, and you're a Republican. It's that simple. It's notable that you would so recently be disgusted by Trump's character, and so disgusted that you wouldn't want to go into business with him, but now you think he should be the most powerful man on the planet. Now, what is this flip-flop likely about? It's such a stark 180 that it gives me sort of position in the administration promised vibes, but maybe not. And I think there is some of that going on behind the scenes with a lot of these individuals enthusiastically endorsing Trump, but also just a lot of unsaid fear among Republicans. They're seeing the same things we're seeing. They're hearing what we're hearing, and they know that if Trump gets in office again, there's going to be hell to pay for anyone who aggressively spoke out against him. He's making that very clear. A presidency of retribution, he proudly broadcasts, both from Trump and from his followers. Many of these Republicans are acting out of fear. They're seeing the writing on the wall. They see that Trump's going to be the nominee very likely, and they want to be in his good graces if he wins, and politically relevant if he wins. And on that, here's something that Mitt Romney revealed in a book that was written about him, about how this sort of fear impacted his colleagues.
Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. Tonight, it feels like another line has been crossed in American democracy, with the discovery that the United States senators, feeling the threat of violence to them or their families from Donald Trump and his supporters, changed their votes on perhaps the most important vote many of them ever took, the second impeachment of Donald Trump. Of course, that fateful vote acquitting Trump of inciting an insurrection on January 6th allowed for the situation we currently find ourselves in, with that four-time criminally indicted defendant likely to be a coin flip away from the presidency next year. This new revelation about the impact of the MAGA threat of violence in Congress comes from an explosive excerpt of a forthcoming biography of Utah Senator Mitt Romney, as told by author McKay Coppins. Quote, when one senator, a member of leadership, said he was leaning toward voting to convict Trump, the others urged him to reconsider. You can't do that, Romney recalled someone saying. Think of your personal safety, said another. Think of your children. McKay Coppins received unparalleled access to Senator Romney, who gave his apparently unvarnished thoughts and observations to his biographer. And Romney's revelation about the second impeachment vote really connects the dots in the story of how Trump and his movement have used and continue to use intimidation, menace to pursue their political ends. It's a story that we've covered quite a bit on this program, but I think it remains somewhat untold because, of course, many people don't want to publicize their security concerns. Those who have been the target of Donald Trump's invective or targeted by his followers mostly don't want to talk to the press about it and invite greater threat.
Yeah, so that's very likely contributing to Burgum's decision here. He's the governor of a very conservative state, and the backlash of going against Trump politically and personally is intensely severe. But as I have to do anytime we talk about the subject of Donald Trump, it has to be properly contextualized. Fox News tries to frame Trump as a normal candidate. Much of the media fails to push back against that. And Doug Burgum is saying, I like his policy positions. He's right on the policy. I'll say again, history is going to judge the Doug Burgums of the world very harshly. If Trump isn't victorious and isn't able to rewrite history, then this moment is going to be unequivocal, black and white, not complicated at all when people learn about it in the future. A president tried to block the peaceful transfer of power after losing an election, luckily failed, then decided to run for president again while saying he was going to get retribution against his enemies, lock up his political opponents, openly discussing the execution of his former top general because he wasn't loyal enough, calling for the termination of the Constitution, saying that media outlets should be punished by the government for unfavorable coverage of him. Again, explicitly saying this stuff, quote unquote, come down hard, the government should, on MSNBC is the particular example I'm referencing. And then saying he wants to be a dictator on day one. I'm just kidding. The people who see all of that and endorse him because they like his tax cuts or something are going to disgust the readers of history. They're going to be undeniably the antagonist in the stories written about this moment. Conservatives and liberals alike are going to be horrified by the abandonment of the Constitution by this current Republican Party. They're going to be thinking, this Trump guy told everyone exactly who he wanted to be. He showed that he had no respect for democracy when he tried to install himself as the president, and they kept supporting him? What on earth? What's wrong with them? So if history takes note of people at all, like Doug Burgum and Ted Cruz, that will be their legacy. Choosing an orange man named Donald Trump over our Constitution, democracy, and country. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Hit the alert bell right next to the subscribe button. And if you're just really feeling pumped about the show, you can go to lukebeasleyshow.com/membership.